One of the many things puppies do that really irritates me is to presume at the start of the game, because they've got a platoon of decent players, that the game is a foregone conclusion and it's a win. You'll see why in this match. North spawn Murovanka. Typically in my mediums, especially the scent, I will go west to the A1 B1 spot. The scent's not very fast, but it can get there in time to avoid being hit, but only just. Here we go. Our IS-6 says we have elite platoon, game over man. Tells the enemy team to drown themselves. Well, keep an eye on that guy, and in the post-games have a look at exactly how much he contributed to this game. Marius comes with me. He's going to be holding the actual valley while I'm up on the hill, and Primalor goes towards the forest initially, but then decides there's too much there, so he comes to support us instead. I do make it up the hill without being spotted or shot at. Type 64's been hit already. I managed to finish him with a nice snapshot. In situations like that, where I want to make a quick shot without really exposing myself for very long, auto aim is still useful. There's no arty in this match, so I'm quite comfortable to sit still once I'm back behind cover. If there was arty, I'd have to be moving constantly. They focus this position. Or at least they focus it if they know what they're doing. Centurion's gun is very powerful, but unfortunately I low-rolled that shot. But as far as the scent is concerned, the upper plate of a JT man will not exist. It just goes clean through it. Taking shots where I have them. Another low roll there. I want to push too far ahead and risk taking hits like that IS-3 has, but at the same time I don't want to be sitting back being useless. I want to make sure my gun's actually in the fight. Push up just a little bit more because I know they can't see me, they're too far back. And I want to take out these rubbers. Unfortunately, I think he drove behind a rock or another tank, so that shot didn't hit him. I'm lit there. I drive out too far. Way too far. I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea. Miss another shot on that guy. I think he was just about hull down. That's why the auto aim wasn't working there. Take another hit and decide that's it. I'm not poking that corner again. I'm done with that. That was purely because I was pushing out too far. Had I been a bit more careful and made sure only my turret and front corner was showing, I would have been fine. I was giving that T-34 broadside targets, so don't do what I just did. In fact, I probably would have been safer just rolling over the top, which is what I'm doing now. Primalor moves up, as does Marius. Unfortunately, the two of them start getting dunked on since the enemy team know who to focus. I provide what support I can from back here, but I've already lost a lot of hit points, and in a Centurion you really cannot afford to be part of the spearhead push unless the enemy are distracted or really bad. These guys are, as you can see, quite competent. They actually have a few good players on their team, and the rest are mostly average. So that's not the kind of thing I want to push into. I know the cheeks of the Super Pershing turret are weak enough to pen from basically the front, so that's what I take a shot at there instead of the hull down T-34. Go for one on the Luvis Cupola, but it doesn't hit, and I lose both my platoon mates in that push, unfortunately. So now it's on me to make sure this team wins the game. I'm still hanging back a bit. The IS-3 will spot anything that pushes, or I will, since my optics probably see further than he does, even across flat ground. And besides, anything that pushes is either going to have to come over the hill, where I will see it, or around the side where he will see it. For now, I want to stay close to cover. I don't want to cross and risk being hit in the side by one of those TDs. The Waffenträger Panzer IV still hasn't even been lit, although it's a fairly safe assumption he's down in the forest, just near the enemy cap, either J1, K1 or K3. We still have a decent number of tanks up. It's nearly 1-for-1 at this point. In fact, it now is 1-for-1. So I decide to just hold off a little bit longer. Unfortunately, our guys in the forest turned out to be completely useless. And had I known that, I probably would have made my move earlier. Our IS-3 is also getting impatient. The average player completely lacks any sense of patience. They'll push up, even if they know there's tanks there, if they've been sitting idle for more than about 30 seconds. So here our Panther moves up to support the IS-3. Not a bad move, he still has a lot of hit points. Of all the bugs in the game, I wish they'd work out the one that makes replays stutter. So I take out the Roomba. He's obviously a priority target, and I also have an easy broadside shot on him. The Löwe is next. Even though the Waffenträger's gun is more dangerous, the Löwe is a gun I can get out of the action faster, and he's still dangerous to me. Now the IS-3 pushes, which is an enormous mistake on his part. He didn't wait for me to move into position to support him, and it cost him dearly, along with another mistake you'll see in a minute. So our guys in forest got completely cleaned up. They were in a position where they couldn't actually see. They were outspot by tanks with less view range than them. That's pretty fucking shameful. Our IS-3 charges in. I see the Waffenträger. I don't want to take a hit off him, so I'm kind of cautious in pushing in to get a shot. I let him go for the IS-3 instead. Now here, all I needed the IS-3 to do was not block me. Unfortunately, that's exactly what he does. I almost hit the IS-3 with my shot, and then I can't ram the Waffenträger, which is what I was going to do to finish him, and it probably would have, if not killed him, certainly got him a lot lower on health. So that sort of thoughtless positioning there by the IS-3 cost him his tank. And now it's just me against 3 tanks. If we look at the health, all we can see is E75, who still is quite healthy. He's also their best player. Now, in my Centurion, I not only have 10 degrees of gun depression and one of the best guns in the game, I also have optics, which gives me a view range of about 451 meters, I think it is. On top of the optics, I have all the view range skills for across my entire crew. So my actual view range on the Centurion is 473 meters. I can outspot anything but a good crew pattern, basically. So I'm going to try and use that here to shoot them from afar, from hull down. Unfortunately, I do roll forwards here just a little too much, trying to get vision on the E75, and he actually spots me. The only bad thing about the Cent trying to spot at this range is it has really bad camo. I whiff my shot there, he doesn't. It was bad play from me. I should have been more cautious and poked from the left. Either way, he now can't see me, but I can still see him. So I don't want to pop up in the same place twice. That would be a big mistake. At the same time, the E50 can see me and takes a shot. I whiff, but it's enough to scare him away, which is all I needed it to do. Here he's not sure how I lit him. Well, that's what, 473 view range does. I might not be able to spot past the maximum spotting distance of 445, but he was within that, and the extra goes towards being able to spot tanks in camera. Plus he did fire his gun. So that's how I saw him. Now here all I need is a reset on the E75 to just buy myself some time, and then I can deal with the others. Again, I spot him, he doesn't spot me. Shot RNGs to the edge of the circle, but it tracks him, and that's all I need. Here I decide I may as well kill him while he's still unable to see me. Unfortunately, that shot I didn't aim far enough right. I didn't lead him enough. That one just RNG'd into his upper plate, I guess. It should have penned his side. So I was getting pretty frustrated here. This RNG saved him twice, but I'm able to get a blind reset, and I think that was a hit for damage as well. The only problem is, I haven't seen the T28, and I haven't seen that E50 for quite a while. So I'm shifting positions, trying to attack from another angle. When this guy appears, oh look, it's our friend the E50. He snapshots, gets eaten by my track, and then I try and circle my way around him. Unfortunately, the T28's also coming. So although I'm able to deal with the E50, maybe if I just kept running north I could have got away from the T28, but honestly at this point it was doubtful, and I thought a better idea. I tracked him. Now, had he not had a repair kit, or had he been slower on his repair, I would have easily killed him, then gone back and killed the E75, which would have been a hell of a game. Unfortunately, he did have a repair kit, and he was quick on the button. That's all that won their team that game. Well, I hesitate to say that. There was a lot that won their team that game. For instance, shitters in Forest, who couldn't spot and couldn't shoot, and in fact didn't even move into Forest at all until it was too late. IS3 throwing away his tank. You know, there were numerous things that basically contributed to the enemy win, but that one was the one point where the game could have gone either way, and it was down to luck basically. And you know, unfortunately he did have a repair kit. Not much I can do about that. Even if I was in one of my Soviet mediums, that I wouldn't have had the reload time to finish him before he came over and hit me. But I mean, I did everything I could to carry that game. Couple fuck ups here and there, threw away too many hit points at the start. Again, I probably would have won if I hadn't done that. Threw away one shot's worth of damage on that E75. Again, would have won if I hadn't done that. But I mean, the basic truth of it is, every mistake I made that match pales into insignificance compared to the mistakes that my team made that got us in that situation. That's generally how it goes. I mean, if you fuck up a carry, the fact that you are even in a position to carry in the first place, that tells of a much, much bigger fuck up on the part of your team. I mean, any mistake you make at that point, yeah, you'll learn from it. Yeah, you might lose because of it, like in this instance, but at the end of the day, it's not really something that can be blamed on you. So if people are giving you shit because, you know, you missed a shot while you were trying to carry, as long as you were actually trying to carry and not, you know, hiding in back until the end of the game and then firing a gun, really just, they don't have a leg to stand on. It's their own fault that you're in that position to start with. This game, quite obviously, from start to finish, I was involved in, and so there really wasn't much more I could have done. This really does show, though, the importance of actually knowing how to spot in the Murovanka forest. This is also why I don't go into the forest from North Spawn. South Spawn has it much easier. Again, I've been over this in my Object 430 videos. You'll be seeing more videos of that because I've been doing it since. Puppies still have not learned that the 8 line is the best position to be in the forest, particularly in a medium tank, because you won't be seen. There is a hill that runs along here. I think there's another one there, and a slight bump that runs along there. If you position on the 8 line, you cannot be shot from here. You cannot be shot from here if you stay on the left side of the 8 line, or 8 line, sorry, the west side. The trees are much denser on the 8 line. If you're in a tank with good camo, you will not be seen from the inside of the forest. Particularly from south. Again, this is why I say 8 line is better for south. If they have tank destroyers along this line, or in here, where they typically are, that's where they usually hide their tank destroyers, they will not see you. Unless you fire your gun. Even then, it's questionable. If you're behind 2 bushes, you fire your gun, you're still laughing at them. If you're going to push into the forest from north, and I do recommend at least a couple of tank destroyers go there, because it is a useful position to get shots on the ridge line, and also down here. Make sure you're on the 8 line. Make sure you're on the west of the 8 line, so that you can't be spotted from inside the forest. Not many people know to spot along there. Most of them will try and spot you from inside the deep forest, so if you sit there, they're not going to see you. Or the other point is simply having a scout pushed up, or having a good crew with some optics. I mean, that goes a long way to being able to survive in the forest. Because the point of the thing is, the forest is mostly trees. There's some undergrowth, but it's mostly trees. Particularly in this part here, the undergrowth is mostly concentrated, again, on the 8 line. Undergrowth provides camouflage, trees barely. The point about trees is they only provide camo as far up the branch as the leaves start. So if you're in a tank that is sitting below the level of the tree canopy, you're not camouflaged. Or if you are, it's a very, very negligible amount. So look for hills and vegetation more so than trees. As far as west goes, really, I mean, we did everything we should have. We held the ridge. I was up there spotting and shooting. The main point with west was they overextended. Now, the enemy team had some good heavies and some good TDs. They were positioned basically in the concave gun line around here. Concave gun lines are not something you should be driving towards. I mean, Prime Law and Marius were alright. They weren't too far up, but if you look at these 3 dots here, these 3 guys that died, it's too far up. The IS-3 should have waited for me. Simple as that. These guys in middle, I don't know what they were doing, but they shouldn't have been there. Middle really isn't a position you want to take unless you know something is coming through there, or if it gives you side shots on something else. I mean, it could have given them shots on the Waffenträger, I suppose, but I wouldn't have risked it personally. At the end of the day, you can't carry every game. Of all the situations where you get set up for a carry, you can carry maybe half to 2/3 of them if you're really, really, really good. For myself, I'd say it's probably more like 1/3 if I'm lucky. That's why even some of the best players on the server, if you see them solo popping, they'll be still maintaining win rates around 60-65%. You'll very rarely see them go over that. To get a win rate above about 65%, you have to platoon almost exclusively with really good players, play only strong tanks, and just be really, really on top of your shit. A lot of the players I've seen with really high win rates tend to be rerolls. Most of the older players, not so much. There are a couple of exceptions. Commodore, for instance. Commodore, though, has a very conservative play style, and he typically only plays very strong tanks. E75, T54, and now the STB, I think, is his new favourite. It's not to fault Commodore's playstyle. He's an excellent player. He was one of the first sort of recognisable Unicums on the NA server. In fact, if you're going to call someone a Unicum, the term best applies to him, since it was basically unheard of for somebody to have a win rate that high back in those days. But, even at the end of the day, the best players on the server are still going to be maintaining win rates around that level. So, honestly, it's just sort of a segue into stats here. Win rates above 60% don't matter. Maybe if you care about your numbers, but from a perspective of can I rely on my teammates, if they're above 60%, it doesn't matter. What matters is how they got that 60%. If it was actual, legitimate pub play, and not seal clubbing or company games or clan wars or whatever, if it's an actual legit 60% pub win rate, even if it's platoons, I don't care. If it's actual good play, that's fine. Below that you have these sort of shades of good and bad, but above 60%, it's all the same, honestly. I think once you get to a certain point, stats cease to mean anything, and it becomes more of a sort of gentleman's challenge between the top players. You know, who can get the biggest WN8 or who can get the highest win rate. It's all just very much friendly competition. It doesn't actually matter at all. But there you go. If you want to take away anything from this video, it's don't do what our team did, and be really conservative with your hit points where you can. I mean, I'm not saying camp in the back, I'm saying don't do what I did, pushing too far over the hill. Don't get overconfident, basically. Anyway, thanks for watching. There will be more videos coming of the Centurion and some 430 and some 215B as well, I think.